everyone, welcome to Embodied Numerology with Jody, where we explore self-mastery through the lens of numerology and tarot. I'm Jody, and in today's video I am picking up where I left off in the last video with my walkthrough of my decks that I acquired in 2024. So I've been enjoying all the videos on TarotTube of people sharing their top 10 decks from 2024 and people sharing their entire deck collection as it stands at the end of 2024. And I thought it would be a great idea and that I would enjoy walking you through decks that came into my collection in 2024, including both Oracle decks and tarot decks. I had planned to do that in a single video, but I found that my video section for my Oracle cards ended up being about an hour itself. So I decided to break up the video into two separate videos. And in this video, I am going to be walking through the tarot decks that entered my collection in 2024. And at the end of that video, I will probably also do some of my favorite Oracle and Tarot pairings with those decks. So grab a beverage. I'm still working on my blueberry tea here. But grab a beverage, get cozy, and join me as I walk through the tarot decks that entered my collection in 2024. But we are going to start with an Oracle deck. So there is one Oracle deck that I did not cover in the last video, and I did that because I wanted to cover it with my tarot deck that is by the same author. So we'll take a look at the Oracle and then we'll dive into the tarot. But that is the Universal Folk Oracle, and I know that this particular Oracle was not released in 2024, but it is one of the decks that had been on my wish list and that I had been admiring on TarotTube. And that's one of the things that I did in 2024 is I added new decks to my collection that had been in my wish list for a while. So there's going to be a few of those that you see when we get into my tarot decks, but this is one of the Oracle decks that fit that bill, and it is the Universal Folk Oracle by Anita Inverarity, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I absolutely love this Oracle deck. The artwork style, everything about it is just exquisite. It's just so beautiful. I mean, look at the gorgeous backs. I just love the detail in the artwork. And surprisingly, this deck, even though the artwork is very why can I not say that word? Intricate. Although the artwork is very detailed and intricate, it really does pair with more tarot decks than I thought it would. And that's one of the main reasons why I ordered it at this time, is because the her tarot deck was released this year, and so I kind of had it in my mind that I couldn't pick up this Oracle deck until I had the tarot deck, because I was afraid that this deck wouldn't pair well with a lot of different tarots. So that's not true. If that's one of the reasons why you haven't been picking up this Oracle deck, I encourage you to go ahead and dive in. I mean, just look at the beauty in these cards and the detail. And one of the things that I really love about this Oracle deck is it has kind of like the overall theme for that card, but then it also has keywords underneath. So I love that you don't have to dive into the guidebook unless you really want to with this deck, but I absolutely love it. It's just every single card. I love looking at all of the details and all the symbolism and everything that is included. And I am going to leave these out here while I go ahead and dive into the tarot deck by the same artist. And this is the first deck that I picked up this year by US Games that is using their new linen cardstock. And I mean, look at the guidebook. This is a chunky monkey guidebook that came with the Universal Tarot. But if you watched my part 1 where I go through the oracle cards and I talk about, I compare this setup with Blue Angels larger decks where the cards are just kind of loosey-goosey inside the box, and I find it a little bit difficult for some reason to grip the side of the box because it gives. So these boxes for me are a little bit difficult to open sometimes, but these new decks in this format that US Games is doing, I really appreciate the nice sturdy box that they put them in, and I love the new linen cardstock that they are doing. So by the same artist, this is the tarot deck, and it has the same beautiful, exquisite, detailed, intricate drawings, and it's a beautiful, beautiful deck, and it pairs, as you can see, it pairs really beautifully with the oracle deck. They do have a slight, this one does have a slight sheen to it, and the tarot deck does not have that, but it does not bother me at all. But surprisingly, I don't tend to use these together that often, even though they do coordinate really nicely for me personally. It can get a little bit too busy using these side by side, and so I actually find myself enjoying oracles that are a little bit more simplistic with these. But I love this deck. It's a great deck, and the linen cardstock feels so nice. But I did have one thing to say that I don't always love about this deck is this is one deck where I kind of wish it didn't have the keywords on it, just because I don't always immediately resonate, and some of them have keywords and then some of them have like an archetype on it. So that would be my one criticism of, and it's very, very minor, you guys. I absolutely love this deck, but that would be my one kind of criticism, is I don't always love the keywords or the archetype that are included. I would much rather it be a keyword that gives you the option to not dive into the guidebook, which I don't always do with tarot anyway. But it just, for me, the keywords on this are a little bit distracting sometimes, and I think I would like it better if they weren't there. But like I said, that's a very, very minor criticism. I absolutely love this deck, and I find these very simple backs just beautiful. I love the simplicity and the charm of them. And that is the Universal Folk Tarot. Where did I put the chunky guidebook? Aha, it's underneath. So that is the Universal Folk Tarot by Anita Inverarity. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that name improperly. And the Oracle. Both of these I absolutely love. And then the next tarot deck that we're going to take a look at that entered my collection is the Lilifer Tarot by Marion Costentin. I don't know. I have not looked and I did not check. This is an indie deck. I do not know if it is still, oh, look at the inside of that box. Is that not gorgeous? I don't know if this deck is still available. I think there was a limited edition of them, and I think this is the second edition. But look at the backs. They have this beautiful gold foiling detail on there. And I love the Lilifer character in these cards. They're absolutely, these are just beautiful, beautiful cards, and so much emotion and depth to the artwork. You can see the guidebook is kind of little. It doesn't go, I mean, it's enough information, but it's not a lot of information. So in some ways, I would say the guidebook is pretty basic with this deck, but it's the artwork and the emotion and the feeling that comes across in the images when I use it for reading. So this is the Lilifer Tarot, and yeah, I'm going to show you a pairing with this deck at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that, but love this deck for shadow work, for any type of work that you're doing on self-love, self-care, those types of readings. I find that this deck just does that very beautifully. Look at that. Look at the Strength card. I just absolutely love this deck. And this may be, I think this, I'm just looking at my stack here. This is the only indie deck that I picked up this year, the Lilifer Tarot. Like I said, most of my purchases this year, I wanted to focus on really those mass market decks that had been sitting in my Amazon wish list for a while. And one of those is I wanted a borderless traditional deck, and I looked at a lot of different options and ultimately decided to go with the Smith-Waite borderless deck. And it comes with these extra cards here. And yeah, so this is your, and I've got it upside down, this is your standard Rider-Waite deck. And this deck came in, and for whatever reason, I kind of tucked it away. Honestly, I'm going to show you another Rider-Waite that I picked up this year, because honestly, I tucked this away and forgot that I had it. But at the very end of December, I picked up a new Oracle deck, which I will show you a pairing of it at the end. But I picked up this Botanical Inspirations Oracle deck, and I'll show you how beautifully these pair together, like I said, at the end of this video. And I ended up going through my tarot deck collection and pulling out this deck, and it goes so well. It goes so well with that Oracle. And so this is the, and it has the standard, I think these are the Pamela Coleman Smith backs. If I'm wrong about that, forgive me, but this is a very standard back that we see on the Rider-Waite deck. And that is the Smith-Waite Borderless edition. And come out of there, the Ace of Pentacles. You were hiding in there. That's one thing about tuck boxes. I don't know if you do this, let me know. I will do a reading and think that I have all of the cards, and I go to put it back in the tuck box, and I realize that there's maybe a card just like the one that was just stuck in there that I didn't realize was stuck. And I always tell myself when that happens that was meant to be, that was a card that I was not meant to pull. But at the same time, it does kind of bother me. And another tarot deck from my Amazon wish list that I ended up picking up this year is the Tarot of the Cat People by Karen Kuykendall. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this is not a tarot deck that I would have gravitated to on my own, but Dawn Michelle introduced me to this deck, and I absolutely love it. This was like my favorite deck. It has every single card has a cat on it. I mean, it is the Tarot of the Cat People, but I love the characters in this deck. I love that there's a cat on each card. But I also love the very cosmic, otherworldly figures that are in this deck. This is something that Dawn Michelle has mentioned whenever she shows this deck in one of her videos, and I tend to agree. I feel like these people, these characters in this deck are not from here, or they're from a really long time ago, but it definitely gives me the cosmic star seed energy that I personally enjoy working with. And I also love the kind of quirky 70s cosmic ancient vibe that's going on in these cards as well. I just really enjoy working with them. There's something about them. They feel, like I said, both cosmic and starseedy, but there's also a very grounded, earthy energy that comes through. Like I almost feel like I'm working with the energy and the people from like Lemuria or Atlantis. It takes me back to that type of energy here on Earth. Also, there's some very Native American vibes in here as well. So I love this deck, and if it's one that you haven't checked out or considered, if you enjoy, like I said, that kind of grounded but also cosmic star-seedy energy, you may enjoy this deck as well. And that's the Tarot of the Cat People by Karen Kuykendall. And then another one of those decks that had been sitting in my wish list forever is the Tarot de Carlotydes, which is a Fournier deck, and not even sure exactly who this is by. I just know it's a Fournier deck. And it's a little bit smaller than the standard tarot deck, but I've loved this deck for so long, and I was super excited to finally add it to my collection. I just think these backs may be one of the most beautiful backs on any deck that I've seen, and it has a very it's a very illustrative, colorful, fun, whimsical artwork style on here. And I got this deck, you guys, and I got it at the end of, this has very like spring, summer vibes to me, and I got it kind of on the edge at the very end of the summer season, and I put it away. So I really didn't work with it that much when I first got it. So I'm really looking forward to diving in and getting to know this deck and using it a lot more this year, because I think it's really beautiful. And like I said, I love the whimsical, colorful artwork. It just has very fun vibes. I mean, look at the Queen of Wands. I love her. love, love, love the artwork. And there's what I like to think of as the David Bowie card as the Magician. So just look at this. Like every card just makes me happy. It makes me happy. So that is the Tarot Carlotydes. Very much looking forward to using it this year. And then the next one is the Unfolding Path Tarot by Athene Noctua. I went back and forth, you guys, on this deck because I also have the Light Seers Tarot by Chris Ann, and that's for a long time was one of my favorite tarot decks, and I sat on the fence with this particular deck, and these are the backs, because I was afraid it might be too similar to the energy of the Light Seers, but I decided to pick it up and give it a try anyway. And I guess I'm still struggling to make friends with this deck when it comes down to it. And I do love, and one of the things that made me pick it up is there's I would say a greater diversity of age that is represented in this deck that we don't see as much in the Light Seers Tarot. But there's just some of the cards that I just resonate more with the Light Seers Tarot, like this Magician. I don't love as much, but I love this Three of Cups, but I love the Light Seers Three of Cups. So I'm still torn with this deck. I'm not going to get rid of it just yet. I'm going to spend some more time with it and see if I can. And this Fool, like I just don't love this Fool. I mean, it's a beautiful artwork. She's a beautiful little girl, but she's just not the Fool. She's not the Fool to me. But like I said, I'm not going to get rid of it just yet. I'm going to spend some more time with it and give it a chance. Let me know down in the comments if you have this deck as well as the Light Seers deck. Do you prefer this deck more than the Light Seers, and why? I would love to hear your thoughts, and if you use them both but for different purposes, if there's a way that you have been able to integrate it into your practice that kind of sets it apart from the Light Seers, let me know. I would just love your input on that. But that is the Unfolding Path Tarot by Athene Noctua. And then another one that I have just had my sights on forever is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot by Lindsay Silverman, Eye of Astro. And this is another deck that it came into, and I love the simple backs of this deck. And this is the mass market edition. As many of you know, this was an indie deck. Then it was produced mass market. This deck came in when a lot of my oracle decks that I talked about also came in, that are more divine feminine, goddess energy, and I tended to gravitate to those decks more so than I did this one. So I didn't reach for this one that much, and I put it away, and I haven't really pulled it back out. So I have not yet formed a relationship with this deck yet, but I absolutely love this deck. I think it's beautiful. One of the things that I really love about it is how each one of the symbols, like the moon and the high priestess, and then like the We've got kind of the wand, it looks like a lightsaber for the universe. And the pentacles have these coins, but like the swords, you can see how the swords are like those light sabers. And I just absolutely love that. And then the cups, you can see the light coming out of the cups. So I think, look at the strength card. These are, you can see that you've got that same light energy. I don't know if you can see that coming from her heart chakra area. So I love these cards. I think they're so beautiful, and I'm looking forward to using them more this year and getting to know them better. Like I said, I was focused more on some of the other decks that I got for Goddess and that divine feminine energy, but I really feel like this is a deck that goes beyond that, and it's just a great general use tarot deck. It doesn't necessarily have to be looked at for tapping into that energy. So yep, I'm looking forward to diving into this deck more and getting to know it better this year. So that is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. And then let's see, the next one we're going to take a look at, this is the Animal Guides Tarot by Radleigh Valentine, illustrated by Dan Craig. And in my part one, the Oracle walkthrough, I talked about how I was a member of the Hay House card deck club, and so this is one of the few tarot decks that I got from that subscription, and I did end up canceling that subscription because I found that I would rather pick out the decks that I get, because I didn't always immediately connect or feel like I could connect with some of the decks that I got, and this is one of those decks. I have not used this tarot deck at all. I don't have anything against Radleigh Valentine, but I just find that I have a difficult time connecting with his decks. So this may be one that I end up rehoming. I'm also not a huge fan of animal only tarot decks. That's something that I've not yet connected with in my work, and also I think it's the borders, it's the amount of text on, like, there's a lot of things there's a lot of things about this deck that I don't fully resonate with. And it's a brand, I think it's a brand new deck. Let me see. Let's see. Let me look when it was, or maybe this is like I'm looking by Doreen Virtue. So I do think that this is an older deck that was republished with just Radleigh Valentine's name on it, and that could, I hadn't taken the time to take a look at that, and that is very much the reason why I'm sure this looks and feels like a really old style deck. But yeah, looking at this, I do feel like this is a deck that is going to get rehomed. I just don't see myself connecting with it. I do have one of the other Oracle decks that I got by Radleigh Valentine. I think it's the Angel Aura, I think it might be called. I do really like that one, and I'm keeping that one. But yeah, this one, let's see, and these lids are stuck together. Okay, they're not coming apart. I will deal with that at another time. But yeah, I do think this one is going to end up leaving my collection. And then let's see, another tarot deck that entered my collection in 2024, which I was super excited about, is the Unveiling the Golden Age, a Visionary Tarot Experience by Izzy Ivy. I have her Oracle deck, the Lemurian one, and I can't think of what it's called at the moment, but I love her artwork. So I was super excited to get my hands on this tarot deck. And you can see here, look how thick the guidebook is, so thick on this deck. And let me get all the cards out here. The cardstock on these is very thick, and I love, it has this really nice, the really nice, yummy, smooth, silky gold gilding on the side, and the backs are really beautiful. And the cardstock is thicker. It's not as thick as like the original Gentle Tarot or the Danielle Noel decks, but it's still a thicker cardstock, and I love this deck. I have tended to use this deck when I am specifically wanting to connect with that cosmic starseed energy, and these do have some like keywords on some of them, and with this deck it doesn't bother me. And she had, the one thing I will say that's a little bit confusing, and I do tend to have to really dive into the guidebook, is the numbering of this deck is different. And the suits have been renamed, and so I do find myself needing to dive into the guidebook with this deck, but it doesn't bother me because, like I said, I don't tend to just pull this deck out for you know, regular type tarot readings. I tend to specifically go to this deck when I'm wanting to connect, like I said, with that cosmic starseed energy. So yeah, that doesn't bother me as much. And and just look at the artwork on these is beautiful. I feel like they're filled with so much, so many light codes and sacred geometry. So I love this deck. If you are a fan of Izzy's work, then I think you would enjoy this deck as well. The only thing I wish that she hadn't have done, and I realize why it's like this, because some of these are like, these are paintings that she has. I know some of these are specifically for this deck, but I think she also may have pulled in some older paintings. And so the aspect ratio of the artwork isn't always the same. Like you have this one where it, you know, kind of takes up the entire card, and then you have some cards like this where you have the borders down the side, and then you have this card where you've got kind of like a top and bottom border, and then like this one you can see where there's like a little skinny border. And when I first got this deck, that I will, and these are like with the round, so it did bother me a little bit when I first got it, because if I were using this deck like I do a lot of my other tarot decks, where I'm doing larger spreads and matching it up with Oracle and all of that stuff, seeing these cards laying next to each other would probably drive me a little bit nuts. But because I don't tend to use this deck in that way, I'm good with it. It doesn't bother me. Let me know if you're as anal if you're as anal as me. But regardless, I absolutely love this deck, the Unveiling the Golden Age by Izzy Ivy. All right, and then another one of those decks that has just kind of been in my wish list forever is the Everyday Witch Tarot. I went back and forth on this deck because I wasn't sure if I would like it, because it's very, I don't know, it just gives me kind of like, because of the witch theme, more of kind of like the Halloween fall vibes. And I was like, is this a deck that I'm going to want to use, you know, every day, as the title says? And I have bought the mini version of this deck to test it out and to just see if I would enjoy having a full-size version. And first of all, you guys, the little mini version, those decks are so super tiny. I do use the mini version, and it can be a useful deck. But if you're considering getting one of those teeny tiny mini decks by, and who publishes this? I can't remember. Who is it Llewellyn? Yeah, Llewellyn. The little Llewellyn mini decks, I would just say avoid them unless you, like me, you just really aren't sure. But it did get me to decide that I wanted the big version of this, and these are the backs, as I'm sure you are familiar with. And I just love this deck. It's very much traditional Rider-Waite, but I love the witch characters in here. And like I said, the issue that I thought I was going to have was with it feeling too much like fall and Halloween energy, but it doesn't at all. And I just really enjoy using this deck. And it's a really good reader because it really does very much stay true to the traditional Rider-Waite. So it's a great beginner deck. And yeah, I love this deck. I love the artwork, and of course the guidebook is awesome, by Deborah Blake, art by Elizabeth Alba. I don't think I'd said that earlier. So this is a great deck, and like, I mean, I love it. I always love this one of the Hierophant, you know, being the yoga teacher. It's got a sense of humor that I just resonate really well with, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. So that is the Everyday Witch Tarot by Deborah Blake, artwork by Elizabeth Alba. And oops, I just knocked my crystal over. And it looks like the sun is starting to come in. So hopefully I've got 4 more decks here. So hopefully the sun will let us get through those. And actually I lied, there's 6 more decks. All right, the next one is the Goddess of Love Tarot, a book and deck for embodying the erotic divine feminine. And it is by Gabriella Herstick, illustrated by Julia Popescu. And okay, one thing that I really have a gripe with this box is it doesn't have the things. So yeah, I need to put it in a bag because I fight with it every single time I go to open it. But I love this deck. This is one of the decks that I picked up to work with the divine feminine energy of 2024. And the backs are fairly simple, and a lot of people do not like the coloring in this deck with the bright red borders. But I absolutely love it. And I am a fan of collage style artwork, so I enjoy the artwork on this deck. I have not used it as much as I would like yet. It came in the time of year that it came in. I was kind of switching out of that focus of the divine feminine energy work that I was doing, but I'm looking forward to pulling this deck out this year and working with it more. And I really apologize for that sun, you guys. Actually, hold on, I'm going to try stopping and fixing that, and I will be right back. All right, that is better, and hopefully it will behave so I can record the rest of these decks. But yeah, so this is the Goddess of Love Tarot. And this is a great deck for not only working with divine feminine energy, but doing readings for yourself, focused on self-love and self-care and honoring your body and accepting your body, like any type of work surrounding any type of body image, or like I said, self-love things. This is a really great deck for that. And the guidebook is really good as well. And like I said, some people do not like the bright red and have trimmed it off. I don't have a problem with that. I love the contrast between the pink and the red. If I had any qualms, the cardstock of these cards is not that great, so I am kind of careful with it when I'm shuffling. And as I mentioned, the box, I really wish it had the little cutouts on the side to make it easier to open. But still a wonderful deck that I definitely recommend. And then the next deck that we will take a look at, I'm kind of weeding it down to the most recent decks that I picked up. And I'm going to throw this one in here. So this is a tarot deck that I mentioned earlier when we looked at the Borderless Rider-Waite, that I forgot I had it, you guys. I tucked that deck away and forgot I had it, and then I saw this one for $12 at Barnes & Noble, and I was like, I really want just a basic Rider-Waite, so I picked it up, really not expecting that much. And I have to say, for $12, if this deck is still available, the cardstock is really thin, but it has a nice core, and the color quality of these is really nice. So I'm not going to flip through all of it, but this is a great basic Rider-Waite deck, and I actually think the backs are really pretty. So if it's still available at Barnes & Noble, it has a really nice guidebook too. This is just a really nice set for $12 that I wanted to share with you guys, and I picked it up over the holidays. And then another deck that I just very recently, this is super new to my collection, like within the past weeks, is the Aquarian Tarot, and I don't know why, it just, for whatever reason, hasn't been on my radar. This is an old deck from the 70s, but I think I just recently, and look at the backs, I love the artwork on these cards, and I just randomly came across it because they have released a newer version of this that doesn't come in the tuck box. But I saw it, and I'm like, I have to have that tarot deck, and I've been using this one, and it's just so much fun. I really love it. It pairs surprisingly, if you have the not the Curious Creatures Tarot. What is the other deck that I'm thinking of? The Animal Apothecary Oracle. If you've been looking for a tarot deck to go with that oracle, this one goes so well. But I love this very like 70s Art Nouveau style that it has going on, and I've just really been enjoying using it. I mean, look at the star. That is just that's so cool. So this is the Aquarian Tarot. There is, like I said, a newer version. I bought this version used off of Amazon, but there is a newer version that has a larger guidebook. This one just came with the little white book, but I wasn't so much interested in the guidebook that comes with it, which it is a really nice thick guidebook if you want to pick up the new release of this deck. But you can still, I think I paid $12 for this one on Amazon used, so you can still pick up original older copies for a lot less if you just want to get your hands on the deck like I did, and that is the Aquarian Tarot. Oop, put my little hummingbird back, and I'm just getting to know it, but absolutely loving this deck. And then the other recent one that I picked up is the Star Maiden Tarot by Hannah Kirchen, and this is one of US Games' new linen style decks, and this comes with a awesome guidebook. And it's on US Games' new linen cardstock, which I love. The backs on these cards, not very exciting. I do wish that the backs had a little more design to them, but that's still okay. I love this kind of light teal foil, and this isn't the real, even though it's glossy, this isn't that real sticky kind of foil that catches on your finger, so I love that. And I don't know what it is about this deck, you guys, but I absolutely love it. I got it a couple of months ago, and this has been my go-to deck. I use it every day. There's just something about the colors, and I just love the kind of Scandi vibe of the artwork. And a lot of people, I've watched some reviews, did not like it because it is a vector style art, so it does tend to be a little bit more flat and doesn't have as much depth. But for me, I don't know, it just works. I love this deck. This is my favorite deck right now. There's something about it works for me. There's the High Priestess. I love the simpleness. I love the patterns. I love the vector, more flat style, and I'm also just a fan of pattern decoration like this, where you have kind of like a shape that's filled in with a single pattern, and I just look at that. I love it. So I mean, like her robe here. So for me, if you're like me and you kind of geek out about these very simple kind of Nordic Scandi type stuff, then this is a deck that I think you will love. Look at Justice. I love it. Love it. I can't say enough good things about it. And it pairs really beautifully with all of the seasons of the Witch oracles. That's another reason why I think I like it. For the longest time, I struggled to find a deck that I felt matched really well with the seasons of the Witch, and I will do, I'll show you kind of a side-by-side pairing at the end of this video, and I will show you what that looks like. So that's the Star Maiden Tarot. And then the next deck, similar to the Aquarian, that I don't know, just wasn't on my radar at all until it was, is the Star Tarot by Kathy McClellan, Your Path to Self-Discovery Through Cosmic Symbolism. And I've knocked over my fluorite again. I don't know why this deck was not on my radar, but I absolutely love this deck. I just got it as well in the month of December, and I absolutely love it. It's got these beautiful backs, and it is edged in this nice gold gilding. This gilding is a little bit sticky, so it is that kind that kind of catches on your fingers, but I'm not mad at it. And then the artwork is this beautiful, these paintings are these beautiful, very cosmic star seed, but also like earthy, and it also feels like a little bit 80s vibe as well. I'm a child of the 80s. That could be why I love it so much. It kind of gives a nod to kind of like old oracle and tarot decks, but also it feels really modern at the same time. So yeah, I don't know why this deck was not on my radar at all, but I stumbled across it recently and I had to have it. I was just like, where have the Star Tarot, where have you been all of my life? And so I've only had this deck like very recently, and I'm just now starting to dive into it and use it. And there's the Hermit, which is featured on the front of the box. But I love this deck. The cardstock is not the best. It doesn't, the core of it is not that great, so I am being very careful when I shuffle it and trying not to do like hard riffle shuffling with it, because I don't think it will hold up to that. But absolutely beautiful deck, and I love the guidebook. It's just so much information and depth in there. So that is the Star Tarot. And then the most recent tarot deck that I added at the end of the month here of December, at the end of the year, is the Curious Travels Tarot deck by Amelia Rosier, or Rosier. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. And this is another one of those fabulous, US Games is just doing, this is the front of the guidebook, it's just doing such a fantastic job with their deck production. And I'm just absolutely, if you can't tell already, I'm a huge fan of their new linen cardstock. It just feels so good, and it's easy. It riffle shuffles great. It hand over hand, whatever type of shuffling you do, it does it beautifully, and it just feels really good. So this is the back, very simple, and this was recommended by some of the members of the Fool's Tarot Lounge. I was on the lookout for a new deck, and I wasn't sure what, look at the Hermit, oh my gosh. I wasn't sure what I wanted, and so I just posted in there and listed out some of my favorite decks, and this was one of the recommendations. And yeah, I may even put a shout out to the person who recommended this below. Actually, I think a few people recommended it, but look at this deck. Each card has gold foiling on it, but it's a very like matte and luxurious gold foiling. I mean, US Games is just really knocking it out of the park with their decks. So I'm just getting to know this deck. I haven't had it very long, but all the readings that I've done with it thus far have been really good. And I mean, it's just beautiful. Look at the wings there. And the High Priestess. So I was not familiar with this deck. There's so many new decks that come out now. It's easy to lose track And look, there's the Empress, which is my birth card. Then I'm hypercritical of the Empress in any deck that I pick up, and very much approve of this one. But it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. I'm going to try and flip through it a little bit quicker, but I could just sit and stare at each one of the cards. And that is what I found with the readings that I have done thus far. I mean, look at the Lovers. It's just beautiful. The artwork is simple, but it really like draws, look at the Judgment card, like it just pulls you in to the narrative and the story of that card. So it's a really great intuitive reader, even though the artwork is pretty simplistic. It's just a beautiful reader. So I think that is all of the decks, and so I thought what I would do is do a few pairings. I'm not going to do a ton, but in the Oracle video that I did, this is another deck that I added at the very end of December, at the end of the year, and it's one of the, I guess, kind of surprises that I picked up. That I wasn't expecting that I would like it quite as much as I do. And that's because it just seems to go with so many decks that it's been like my go-to Oracle deck since I picked it up. So I don't know what it is about it. Like, you can look, like these styles aren't even, the art styles aren't even the same, but for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, you guys. This particular deck, they just seem, they seem to work. They seem to go together beautifully. So that is the Curious Travels with the Botanical Inspirations. And I'm going to put the Curious Travels away. And one of the other decks I wanted to show you paired with this that maybe you haven't seen before, that's the purpose of me doing these, is I wanted to show you some pairings that you maybe hadn't thought about. Another one of those, well, yeah, I'll go ahead and do the Star Tarot here, is the Star Maiden Tarot as well, just because I want to show you how versatile this deck is and how it really does go with things that I mean, the colors, and I think it's because of the simpleness of these cards that make them work with so many decks. But yeah, it works. It just, at least for me, it does. You may be looking at these and going, I don't see it, Jody. I don't know what you're talking about. But for me, they just go. It just works. Let's see. Sometimes be a little bit difficult to find oracle cards that pair really nicely with it, and this one does beautifully. So let me just put these side by side so you can see what I am talking about. So just look how well these go together. So if you have this deck and you've been wanting an oracle deck that pairs really nicely with it, here you go. Yeah, you can see how well these work together. All right, so that is the Botanical Inspiration Oracle. And then there is one other one and I'm kind of making a mess over here, but that's okay. Get this back in the box. All right, so another pairing I wanted to show you that I thought was really interesting and that we don't see very often is the, this is the Untamed Element Oracle with the Lilifer Tarot. So let me put that right there. And then I've got my Lilifer Tarot here. And we'll take a look at how well these pair together. And I think it's the very graphic, abstract, geometric nature of these. And even though the Lilifer is more light with the watercolor, I still think these work so well together. I think the elemental symbols and all of the triangles and squares, just all the shapes that are in both of these decks just have a really nice visual conversation with each other. Yeah, we'll just flip through a few more of these, but you can see how beautiful these are together. And that is the Untamed Elemental deck with the Lilifer Tarot. And there is one more pairing that I wanted to show you guys because I don't want to make this video too long, but I know it can be difficult, at least for me. It was difficult to find decks that paired well with the Seasons of the Witch. And the Star Maiden Tarot, I'm going to pull it out again. I find it looks good with all of the Seasons of the Witch that I've tried it with. Now maybe the Samhain one, maybe not, because that particular deck has a very distinct look and vibe to it. But and we'll take a look at it with the Mabon. And the art styles, you're going to see they're not like completely the same, but for me, there's just something about it that, and ooh, the glare is really, really bad. Let me, if I put that underneath there, does that, nope, that doesn't fix it. Okay. I might have to hold up that card for you to be able to see it. So I don't know how well this is going to work because of the glare. Yeah, because you can't, I don't think you guys can see, you can't see that at all. All right, so with that, I can hold them up. But yeah, the Seasons of the Witch and the Star Maiden Tarot just look so great together. So if you were like me and really like things aesthetically, if that's important to you for your readings, I'm going to show you one more bit here, which I know it's going to do the same thing with the Litha, but this is just a really nice pairing. The artwork styles just really do, is something about them that it just, even though the style is different, the colors work, just the conversation that they have works. I mean, look at these two, the Nine of Cups and Money Magic, and the Empress and Butterflies, and the Knight of Wands and Insects. They just have a really nice conversation with each other. So that is the Star Maiden Tarot. The Star Maiden Tarot with the Seasons of the Witch. All right, so that is it. And I think this video is ending up being around an hour as well. So thank you so much for joining me. I wanted to, like I said, change it up a little bit and do something different from the other 2024 tarot videos that I've been seeing, and walk you through the decks, like I said, that were acquired in 2024 that came into my collection at least. So I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And check out part 1 if you did not see it, if you would like to see the full walkthrough of my oracle decks. All right, everyone, take care.